Hello, my powerful people, and welcome back to my channel, Purple RX. It's Renata, your friendly and resourceful PharmD, here to help you navigate this vast health and wellness world with all this information to find out what works best for you from a more holistic perspective. So we look at medicine, we look at natural, we look at all ways and every way. So remember, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I keep forgetting to say that on my videos because I just want to get straight to the information. If also comment, let me know what you want to talk about. Let me know what you want to hear. Like I said, I have a Weed Wednesdays. If you think of another idea, let me know. If you want to talk about another issue in healthcare, let me know, because there are plenty of them, especially in our population. Speaking of that, we're going to talk about vitamin D deficiency, especially in brown people. So, an article from NPR, which I'll probably link below, was really talking about how vitamin D may be or may not be, because of course they have some evidence that says yes, and then some evidence that says maybe or maybe not. It may have something to do with it, it may not. But people with vitamin D deficiency were more susceptible to COVID-19, which I could see because of course vitamin D has to do with immune responses and your immune system. Well, in our community, we are more deficient in vitamin D. So 40% of American adults are deficient in vitamin D. And of that 40% of the blacks, 76% of us have a deficiency in vitamin D. Well, part of that is because a lot of ways people get vitamin D is not going to be from a lot of food sources. A lot of times we get it from walking outside, being outside, and us being melanated, beautifully melanated, can make it a little bit harder for our body to synthesize and what's the word? Basically synthesize vitamin D correctly, because basically when the light hits us, it scatters it and it makes it less efficient to actually convert it to the vitamin D that our body needs in order for the other processes. So the browner your skin is, the more susceptible you are to having to need to be outside longer, or as you get older, having to take a supplement. So what are the roles of vitamin D within our body? Vitamin D is involved with so much within our body, and it's actually vital. It's a fat-soluble vitamin, and it's usually produced, like I said, in the tissues from sunlight, and the role it usually plays, it helps promote calcium absorbed in the gut. The serum calcium, help maintain serum calcium levels and phosphate concentration in the blood. Normal bone mineralization, prevent cramps, spasms, and involuntary muscle contraction. So it is going to be a part of those, and part of phosphorus concentration, as well as calcium serum concentration, as well as bone growth, bone remodeling, reducing inflammation in the body, cell growth and proliferation and differentiation and death. Basically, when your cells are dying off and you need cells to die off and get out the way, cells to proliferate and expand and make a daughter cell or make another cell, cells to differentiate. Those are all part of cell processes that go on in your body on a daily basis for your growth, to make new skin cells, making new bone cells, new bone formation, glucose metabolism it's needed for, new neuromuscular, like I said, immune function. When you have a proper vitamin D level, you're going to be decreasing your risk of osteoporosis, cancer, different autoimmune diseases, as well as hypertension and blood pressure. Vitamin D is just vital for us. So we can't sleep on all these vitamins. So how can we get it? One, take your workouts outside. I live in Texas, so there's a lot of sun. I get a lot of sun. That's kind of why I like Texas, because even in the winter, sun is hitting you. You get that sunlight even on a cold day. Most of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the times you get that. So if you can't get it from the sun, if you're up north, or if it hits winter, or you're just not able to go outside that much, maybe your skin is very sensitive to sunlight. How do you get it? Well, vitamin D is actually found in foods, and it's mainly the vitamin D3, because there's two forms of vitamin D that you'll see one over the counter, one that your doctor prescribes. So vitamin D3 is one that you'll find in foods like oily fish, salmon, mackerel, herring, those things like that. Red meat, liver, egg yolks, cheese, except the soft cheese. So you won't really find it in cottage, ricotta, or cream cheese. I know some of us like cream cheese. But it's also, that's why they've also put it in fortified foods. They put it in milk and milk products, yogurt, all of those plant-based milk products, such as hemp milk, almond milk. All of those have been fortified with vitamin D, margarine, cereals, hot, cold cereal, all those cereals that are basically processed, you're going to find it in there. OJ, pasteurized OJ, orange juice, excuse me, well as tofu. I'm not really a big tofu person, but you'll find it in those. And fortified foods, it was important because in those, and a lot of back in the day, a lot of people were getting rickettsia. Like a lot of kids were getting rickets. I don't know why I called it rickettsia. That was something old. It's not a Spanish word. It's rickets. Excuse me. A lot of kids and a lot of people were getting rickets. So they decided to fortify it and put it in milk and milk products and put it in margarine and things that people were using in cereals to make sure everybody got a good daily dose of vitamin D, which is needed. Now, what if you eat none of those? What if you really don't eat enough almond milk or hemp milk? Because it's usually, you get 100 international units per cup of plant milk. And really that can be enough, but you're most likely going to need a little bit more, especially if you're deficient, if you're not getting enough from the sun, if you're not getting enough from other foods like red meat, egg yolks. If you're a vegan or a vegetarian, you're not going to get a lot of it in some of these foods that naturally have it, unless you're eating some form of fish or unless you're eating cheese. So how do I get it? Well, you're going to see supplements everywhere, supplements on the shelf. And you're like, when I've gone down the vitamin aisle, first of all, there's 5 to 20 brands. Then along with vitamin D, vitamin D2, vitamin D3, so it can be a little daunting. So like I said, vitamin D3 is going to be those that are derived from fish oil or sheep's wool, which is more of a vegan version to allow vegans to get a vitamin D, or sunshine. So vitamin D3 is going to be from more natural sources. And vitamin D2 is from plant sources like wild mushrooms. But since a lot of mushrooms grow in the dark, naturally a lot of mushrooms that they put in the store grow in the dark. So it's either going to be wild mushrooms or those put under a UV lamp or fortified foods. And what you'll find is vitamin D2 is called ergocalciferol. So if you see something that says ergocalciferol on it, that's most likely vitamin D2. And that is what your doctor is prescribing. So the prescription version is going to be vitamin D2. And a lot of times they'll put that in, you might get it in 50,000 international units, 2,000, 1,000, but 50,000 international units is the prescribed version. And it comes in prescription only. And it's usually once every 2 weeks or twice a week. It all depends on what your body needs and for how long. And that one, vitamin D2, is the only one that insurance will cover, Medicaid and Medicare, that they'll pay for. Vitamin D3 is what you'll find over the counter. So how do you make the choice that's right for you? And how do you know if you need it? Most of the time, you'll find that out from your doctor if you're going to your doctor regularly. At one point, I actually had a prescription for vitamin D2, because as a patient who's had a transplant, I have to take prednisone, which prednisone can affect your bone density. So I have to get yearly bone density scans. Then I also have to so at one point, I think my vitamin D may have been low. It may have been I wasn't going outside much. I wasn't doing anything outside. I wasn't doing any outside activity, and some things I was eating. I don't think I was eating eggs. There was a lot of things that might have played into it, as well as I think my prednisone dose at that moment might have been a little bit higher. So again, that's going to have an effect on my body and what my body needs. So he gave me basically 50,000 units, and it was once a month for a while just to get it back up to a level that they thought was safer for me. Because it's not like I was very low, but I was low enough for them to want me to take 50,000 international units. And international units is what it comes in. So your best bet is to, when you go to your doctor, or if your doctor is saying, hey, your vitamin D may look low, you can choose one over the counter. These are some you may choose. A lot of times your doctor will say there's some over-the-counter options, or you say, I don't really have insurance or I don't want to go through that. So your best bet would be an over-the-counter vitamin D3 and international units. So people, I will also share a link of what is exactly the amount you would need per day for your age group and for male or female. I'll link a chart below because it can get a little intricate, but your best bet is to actually interact with your doctor and talk to your doctor. Ask him what your vitamin D level looks like, or get a bone density scan as you hit a certain age, or if you're taking certain medications, like I said, like corticosteroids that affect the density of your bones. Make sure you ask your doctor, is everything okay? And how is your bone density scan looking? And to get one, especially after you've hit a certain age. Especially women, due to us and estrogen having the effects on our bones that they do in osteoporosis. So, if you have any questions, comments, please put them down below. Again, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. This was just a little tidbit of vitamin D and its effects and how it really is a part of our immune system and needed for our immune system. And they have seen that people that have been deficient have been more likely to catch COVID. And that has worked in some circumstances, but in other circumstances, it's not always been like that because they haven't seen that with every patient. So they can't put it down as to one group. So it's hard to group it and say that for everybody that has a vitamin D deficiency, they're going to get COVID. They can't say that and solidify that as a statement in this instance. But what I would say is nutrition is important. Make sure you keep your minerals. You want to keep your mineral content up. You want to keep your amino acid content up and keep those at a healthy level, especially as you age, because things deplete. Your body goes through different processes, and especially with your hereditary, sometimes at certain age, certain groups, sometimes things in your family allow that you may not have that anymore. Like the digestion in my family on my mom's side is not the greatest. So those things can have an effect on your mineral absorption. Those things can have an effect on what you have and what you see in your body. And they can result in thinning hair, low immune function, more likely to get cancer or osteoporosis, more likely to have hypertension issues. So these are things that we have to look at and we have to take into account and think about what we're doing. That's why it's best to eat a diet high in fruits and vegetables and making sure we get that. And if we eat grains, eating complete proteins and eating a well-balanced diet to get the minerals and nutrients that we need. So again, if you have any questions, don't forget to ask them down below. Like, share, subscribe, and I hope you guys have a good day.